a special guest. We have the amazing Amber Geehan. And Amber, you know, is the daughter of National Sales Director Cindy Town. And you heard all about Amber. Of course, I know that you know who she is. But in addition to being aware of her and seeing her and hearing from her in all kinds of various different platforms, you heard about her from Lisa Madsen when she was on the call a couple weeks ago, and she talked about Amber before everybody took off for Hawaii, and the decisions that Amber had made over this last year, and what changed and what she did, and how she ramped it up. And I have to say, Amber, I just appreciate you also, because I know that you have chimed into our calls and listened in and been a part of our spirit and our heart. And it seems like everywhere that I find myself where you are at, you and I get a moment to just connect and have a hug, and that's meant a lot to me as well. So I'm going to introduce her to you, but really of all the things that I'm going to tell you about her accolade-wise, it is truly her spirit, her heart, her depth of love, this company, this opportunity, her commitment, her level of dedication, because we know that that creates a vibration. And I know being a Mary Kay daughter of a national sales director means that she was really birthed into this life. And of course, that just kind of saturates into our DNA. We don't have to be daughters of nationals, however, to have that saturation in our DNA. But we know that carries an understanding of what the life looks like from childhood on up, which is a wonderful perspective for all moms to know what a gift it is to their children. So I'm going to tell you about her because she has an awesome husband, and his name is Joe, and they moved to Kansas from Seattle, Washington. In fact, well, actually it's Missouri. They're in Kearney, Missouri. They have 4 children together, ranging from age 20 to age 11. That's Brandon and and Audrey and Cooper. And her previous occupation before Mary Kay said she was a college student. So that sounds familiar to Amy Kittrell as well. She began her business 22 years ago in 1997, and she's been a sales director for 21 of those years. She's earned over 11 cars with Mary Kay. 9 of them have been pink Cadillacs. And she's led her awesome wild unit to the Circle of Achievement every single year that they've been a unit, with 13 of those years being over $500,000 in sales, and the last 3 being over $650,000. But that's not the best. The best is in 1961. She led her unit, of course, to the Rome trip, which in 2017, she led her amazing unit to finish up the second top director trip, which was the Alaskan cruise. And then this last year, 2019, her amazing unit hit the $800,000 unit Circle of Excellence, and earned the trip, of course, to Hawaii that she just got back from, which, of course, included the extended trip. Her highest check in 1 month has been $18,000. She was nominated as Miss Go Give in August of 2014, and her passions are to train, to help, and lead the next generation of women coming up the ranks. Her goal for seminar 2019-2020, or 2020, is to do over 1 million in unit sales and build 10 new future wild area directors, which I know that she will do. I know that she has set the foundation for that. So, Amber, thank you for saying yes to my invitation. And I'm just going to hand the microphone to you now and say we so appreciate you that you're on.
Thank you, Stacy. Well, great morning, you guys. I'm loving that Stacy's doing the kids thing, because she boxed me this morning, or texted me this morning at, I think, about 5:30. We were texting and boxing to say my last name correctly, and I'm like, yep, this is a normal routine. I do have 4 kids. Our 20-year-old bonus son, he is now in the Air Force and up in Nebraska, and so he is in cybersecurity. So he is officially launched, which is pretty exciting. I know, but we are not allowed to know anything of what he does other than that's his title. But before I get into what Stacy's asked me to talk about, and I have to say it was pretty humbling to have Lisa Matson, who I grew up in Mary Kay. When I grew up in Mary Kay my whole life, but when I joined Mary Kay, Lisa Matson was a top sales director, and she had traveled to our area because Mary Diem was living in the Washington area at that time, and I didn't know anyone of anyone. And then I became like rock star, totally followed Lisa because she was the only national or top sales director that had come to that area other than my mom. And so when she word for word took notes on my thing, I had to, I boxed Nancy Castro, who had forwarded a message to me, and I said, I know this is going to be really, really funny, but is there any way possible that I could get those notes that she typed up? Because I typically, I teach from bullet points, and I trust that God's going to fill my mouth with what needs to be said, and if it needs to be redirected, I'm always open for that. But one of the things, being a daughter of a national, I will tell you that it's not always easy, and I think, and I'm grateful. My mom was never easy on me. I'm grateful that she probably held her thumb on me a little harder than anyone else she ever has, because I'm living the fruit of that today. But there's a difference, and I shared this in my class at a seminar, is that the difference in a daughter of a national, and I believe anyone can catch this, because it could be a good thing to spread through your life, is that we don't question if it's worth it. We don't question that. We don't question if it's going to work. We know that it's going to work when we work, and it will be worth it. And so it's not that we have to have a special personality or DNA of a daughter of a national to get that, but to understand that the energy released when you full on understand that whatever you put into this the fruit will come eventually, and it is worth it. That energy is going to be transferred through your life. But the other thing, I hope that this encourages you guys, because, moving across the country, I had to really just settle in who I was as a leader. And it was such a God thing to do this move, and to move somewhere we didn't know anybody for my husband's job. But my strengths, and I want to share this because I think when you understand your strengths, it frees you from not who you don't need to be. And I say that because it allows you to work consistently in who you are, and consistency comes easier when you understand who you're not. And so my strengths and the strength finders is woo, activator, positivity, communication, and strategic. And so a lot of times I get into action so quick that I send my directors, they kind of twitch a little bit. And I was like, I'm sorry. I cannot stand sitting still. Like, it literally drives me nuts. I'm a power and achievement, and I used to think I was freedom of choice, but I realized that the reason I questioned if I was power and achievement is because I love to win. I love to win, but I don't compete against others. I compete against myself, and so I love beating my own best. And so I don't have a jealous bone in my body. I fully love people's success and seeing people win, because I think when somebody else wins, or that personality or that age or that person that's been in Mary Kay for 40 years decides to become a sales director, it frees other people to succeed because somebody did. And so it was last October when Mary Kay did a double credit for personal team building. And I did 22 personal career shares. And because I'm always willing to do the work. I'm always willing to do extra if I have to. And not one of those people signed. And it was legitimate, real reasons, like I'm in the hospital, I ran into somebody, I crashed my car, my child's in the hospital. I mean, it was some serious reasons. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, that is so crazy to me that all of this happened. And so I'm like, okay, so I got mad. Well, I have a girlfriend that is in the Go Get area up in the Seattle area, and she had went to National Sales Director Crystal Trojanowski's Fall Advanced. And she's a friend of mine where I will vent to her for 1 hot minute. And it's literally 1 hot minute. I'll be like, I just have to vent. Let me get it off my chest so that I can just shake it off. And she did. And so Cecilia James had been her guest national. And she's like, well, maybe this could work for you. And she was telling me before Cecilia became a national, she had focused on doing 100 face-to-face career shares in a 3-month period. for her unit. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great and all, but if I only did face-to-face career shares, then that would really limit who I could touch, who I could reach. And being that would only be available for my Kansas City, my Kansas group here, that really cuts, 27 of the states that I'm in. And so I thought, okay, well, what if, and I literally was just like kind of fleshing it out. And I said to her, I said, well, what if I tried doing like video shares, like live video shares? I said, I wonder if that could be as effective as a face-to-face career share. And she goes, I don't know. She goes, well, I guess you should just try it. And that's literally the conversation. And the very next second I get off the phone, I send my assistant a thing. I said, I need you to do a thing, a little picture of live video shares. I'll create the Calendly link. I'll do all this. But I'm going to give away $1,000 cash. $500 to the listener, $500 to, and that's a lot for me. Like, I'm a frugal person, and I do my awards or my prizes based on how Mary Kay trained us on the percentage. But I thought, okay, I'm not going to question. That's what Cecilia did, so I'm going to try it. And so I went to work with that. And so in November, we got 2 unit members. And so it was almost like when I launched this, so it was going to be November, December, January, that everything went backwards. And I was like, that's not what was supposed to happen. And so I was like, oh. And so then December, we got 2 unit members. I'm like, oh, for the love of God. And so I'm going to leadership. We only had 2 unit members in at that point. And I thought, I'm done with this. And I believe Lisa was trying to figure out when she was sharing with you guys my statement, is I said there's a difference between being ticked off and being righteously ticked off. So ticked off to me is I'm not really happy with where I'm at in business, but I'm unwilling to change, so I'm just going to stay here. And righteously ticked off is where it makes you so mad that you're willing to pivot, change course of action, and that course of action will forever change your career. And I can go back on a timeline and literally tell you from the point when I was a consultant, I was ticked off of, not being consistent. So I decided I'm going to be consistent. I became a sales director. To 6 months into being a sales director, I missed production, the only time I've ever missed production in my career. And I sat on my mom's sofa and I looked at her square in the face and I said, mark my words, I will never, ever be here again. And I put 10 parties on my books and I've never been there again because I was unwilling to have that feeling again. And that was a righteously ticked off moment that changed the course of my life. And then to October, November, December, that I was mad. I was mad because I literally knew that I was capable of doing something more, but I felt like I wasn't tapping into my own potential. And so leaving leadership, I was sitting in the airport and I started individually texting people. And this was what changed everything. Instead of really broadcasting to the masses, I individually text people and I said, Michelle, I have an MK challenge for you. Are you up for it? And I waited for their response. When they responded, then I challenged them to do 3 live video shares with me in 5 days. And we ended January with 22 new unit members. And that triggered huge growth because we, in 6 months, did over $500,000 in production. In 5 months, grew by 129. And now today, as in 9 months, we have grown by 197. And I look at July, where we were in our growth, 129. And we increased our July 12,900 over last July. So I'm always about beating our best. And so, but last July, we increased 12,900. I directly believe that it is from increasing by 129 because I love numbers because I love to be able to prove that they work or they don't work. And so if you take your unit size with your, not your T's, just your A's and I's, and you add 2 zeros to it, that's typically what your base unit will pull without new people. And so 129 new people, add 2 zeros, gives you 12,900. Today, like I said, we're 197 larger, and right now as of today, which I know we will pass it, we're $15,265 wholesale over last September. So we have 4,435 to go to hit that 19,700, which I know there will be no doubt that we will blow past that today. And so I share that because numbers don't lie. Like, it's just plain as day. Like, I tell new directors, when you finish with 24, that your base unit will do 2,400 without new people. So it's essential that you build. It's so essential that you don't stop until you hit 100. You just keep building, because your base unit will only produce what it's going to do on a regular basis, and everything else growth will come from the new people. So how did I get those? How do I do the video shares? I think is a lot of questions of what I get recently. Is I do work with Calendly, which I know a lot of you guys are familiar with. It's a scheduling app that you can create boundaries, and it mirrors up with Google Calendar. And I literally, when they accept the challenge, then I just say, great, do you need scripts? And when they reply yes, I send them back scripts that I have saved in my memos that has the link to my calendar. And in the link to the calendar, when they schedule it, they have their name, then they have their guest's name and their guest cell phone number. And so once that hits my calendar, it comes into my calendar under the color of a purple color. And the reason why is because I hate wasting time. And so when it comes into my calendar, it's purple. So then I go in, and it might be, the guest might be, Melissa. And so I have a schedule, I have a little text that goes out that says, hey, Melissa, super excited that you are going to be doing that we're going to be talking, and you're helping Stacy with her training. Is there any way that you could watch my 4-minute YouTube video and come up with questions as if you were considering Mary Kay? Now, it's important that you ask as if you were considering Mary Kay, because it causes them to ask questions differently and listen differently. And so I've even had somebody Google questions to ask a Mary Kay consultant, and she had a list of 30 questions, and she only picked a few of them, thank God. But I've never had anyone do that. And when she ended that call, she was a C, meaning that she just wanted to be a happy customer, and I was okay with that. But 2 hours later, she was signing up. I'm like, okay, what changed? And she said, what changed was that you answered my questions, and you were very solid in that, if you want to do this with us, great. If you don't, great. Like, she goes, you weren't pressuring me. And I'm like, well, I believe in alignment, and that if you're supposed to be with me, I shouldn't have to work so hard. I just have to fill in the gaps of your questions. And so so I send those, and then I send my YouTube video, and then the day of, I make sure that the link to Zoom, I do a lot on Zoom. The reason is because I don't want to have to wait for the consultant to be on with me. So if they're at work, I record it, and then I send it to them. And so, but then if they can't be on live, they're on live on mute. And on the video share, that it's anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes. I have it blocked in my calendar for 45 minutes because I've done some where I was back to back so much I didn't have a gap to eat, and I was like, okay, I need to eat something, so I create that boundary now. But they basically, I send my video. My video, a lot of people are like, what? How do you do that in 4 minutes? It's pretty simple. It is just the structure of Mary Kay, because the part of the brain that makes decisions does not understand language. And so if somebody's going to make a decision to join you, it's really not because of the facts. It's because she's aligned with you, and she trusts you, and she likes you. And so there's something you're offering that she wants. And so whether it's friendship, whether it's that culture or whatever, it is because she ultimately trusts you. And so that part of, now it doesn't mean that they don't need to hear our structure, because that again builds the trust, is that we're not a multi-level company, and we are a rock solid company. And so that is literally just the structure, blah, 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 no eye story in it at all. That's how you do that in 4 minutes. And so no fluff. And so then when I get on the call, or when we get on the video chat, it's not about the structure. I literally connect with her, which that's like, I love, and there's some people that just are unwilling to connect. And so I understand that they're not supposed to be aligned with me in building this business. And so I just ask them, hey, Melissa, I'm super excited to meet you, but I don't know a ton about you other than, Crystal totally loves you. But would you mind sharing with me a little bit about you, what you love, what you do, all that stuff? And she's going to share. And just like you would connect in a live face-to-face, knee-to-knee, belly button to belly button talk, you're going to connect on a video chat like that. And so I'm looking for that connection. I'm looking for a common link. And sometimes you find it and sometimes you don't. And sometimes they're just, a hard line, not going to let you in. And sometimes they will. And so just like you would in a face-to-face career chat. And so once I find that connection, I just say, I know that you got to watch my 4-minute video, and that covers the facts of Mary Kay, and I would love just to share the one thing that I super duper love about Mary Kay, and I share about the culture. And the reason I share about the culture is because I can apply it to how I've connected with her. And so each time I share about the culture, it might be just a little bit different because there's so much of our culture that's amazing. But if she's, a young mom and she's got kids running around like crazy, I share about, some of the most amazing things I've learned is that in Mary Kay, I've become a stronger, more confident mom because you cannot pass on what you do not possess. And so I talk about becoming a stronger mom and being more influential in the community and stuff like that because of my confidence I've gained in Mary Kay. Because a lot of times if she's at home with her kids, she's, her confidence is a little bit lower. And so anyway, so that's how I connect. And then I just ask her, what questions were you able to come up with? And so I go through the questions and then I get to the ABC. And I can't tell you how many people have said they're a C. And I'm okay with C's, but I have the consultant coach, if they are a C and they're on with me, the consultant, then with Zoom, I'm able to back off and leave them on. And so I just ask, Melissa, I'm so grateful that you did this. The next part of, Crystal's training is that she needs to see faces. Is there any way that you can do an updated facial and share it with a few friends to help her do that she doesn't know? And I have not had one person say no to that yet. And I don't think it's because it's me. I think it's because they understand a bigger picture of what Mary Kay is now. And so at that point, I back off and I allow her to book the party. And I do say facial because I think people have like a mental trigger in their head when you say party that they have to like put on a performance and bake homemade goods and invite 40 people. And I want them to be able to book it like today or tomorrow, like in the next 4 days. And so I say facial and have a few friends. And so then I hop off. So I do this with my Pearl shares. I do it with key consultants until they're able to repeat me, pretty much. I do it until they feel confident to take over. And I just, with a new consultant I just did recently, she did her 10 Pearl shares with me, and she didn't have a new team member yet. And she's like, Amber, I want my first team member. And I said, it's going to come. I said, but you have 10 parties on your books. I said, I promise it will come. And so then her 11th, 12th, and 13th signed up, and she's a new red. And so she is very happy with that. But so with that, that's where all the growth came. And I will never go back to a phone share again because it is, for me, so much effective. And so I do them anywhere and everywhere. I have a little tripod that I take if I know that I'm going to be out and about and I need to do one. I have a holder in my car. I've done them at my son races motocross. I've done them at the racetrack with a ball cap on. I've done them with no makeup, coming home from the gym. I do them how I am because I believe being real helps them trust me. So I don't get all dolled up. I don't, threaten my kids that if they open the door that they're going to go down in flames or anything like that. Like, I live a very real life, and I believe that that really ministers to a lot of people that it's okay if you have kids. It's okay if you're at a motocross race. I've done them outside of my son's basketball practice, outside of a volleyball practice. I've done them when I was driving because a live career share went too long, and it was driving in the snow. And she signed up, and I'm like, I couldn't do anything wrong at that point because she was going to sign up. Because if they're going to sign up, they really will. It's just getting in front of enough people. So that is what's changed. That's what happened. I do know that had we not done that, we wouldn't even have finished the trip. And now we have 4 DIQs in. So we finished over 800,000 without any DIQs. Or new directors, which isn't something I'm bragging about, but it's the health of the base of a unit. And now we have 4 DIQs, and we have another 2 going in on the 1st. And so we will have 6 DIQs in the system, first line on the 1st. So that's what I have, Stacy. I don't know if you want any more.
Oh, Amber, okay. So I've taken like pages of notes already. All right. So, okay, this is like, can I ask you a couple questions? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's January. So when you did that in November, you had 2 new unit members, and then in December you had 2 new, and then you went to leadership conference. So what was the main thing that shifted? I know when you were going home from leadership, you started doing individual text messages, but your goal was the goal still 100? Did that stay in place? You just kind of changed your way of doing it?
Yes, and that's something, I'm glad you asked that, because I almost like abandoned ship on that challenge, and I'm so grateful I didn't. I think sometimes as directors, we're so used to getting results, and I don't like not getting results, and so I'm very driven by that. And so, but I think sometimes we abandon stuff before our unit can catch up. And so it was just, I just needed to pivot a little bit and approach it differently. And so I sent out those texts to 20 people, and that next week I literally was doing career shares every hot minute you could ever even imagine. And so, and I don't know if there's, I wasn't upset with that, but I definitely realized that me reaching out was the trigger to cause the action.
Great. And the goal is to be doing it every hot minute that you
Right.
That's the goal. Sometimes when the goal is like, no, I want to be smoothly sailing here and in control of all things. Really the goal is to get to a third form of chaos where you've got so many things going on that you get to do the boundaries like you did on your document versus setting boundaries and not having anything filled.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so here would be my next one then, because gosh, so you said 129 new people from
5 months,
correct? And 5 months, so basically kind of February through the end of June.
Yes.
Because it started all turning around as far as seeing the results that you wanted when you started texting them individually.
Yeah, so it was like the last week of January.
Gotcha. Okay. And then as of September, it was 197. Was that right? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, where we're at today is 197 growth.
So what you were helping us with right there was just knowing that with the numbers that are there, that made a huge difference in the foundational productivity that was happening. But your focus is still on the new and the new and the new. And that, of course, is benefiting your DIQs because then they're knowing exactly what to do because they're basing it on watching what it was that you did to create correct numbers. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so up until this point, what I hear you say is that the willingness to get after it, like the willingness to want to do the work versus holding yourself back from, jumping into the game, has always been your strong suit as far as turning something around. Like when you were a new director and you made that decision and you jumped in and you did the parties. Because leading up to this point, you've done the trip this was your 3rd trip, and you have been in unit clubs all along and earned all those Cadillacs. So you've been a highly successful director. This was just taking it and ramping it to the next level.
Yeah, I know that in order to become a national, I needed to swell my unit larger than where I was. And that really was the biggest motivator, because I knew that if I had a big base, the leaders are going to be there. And so that's where that was ultimately my goal, is to build a big enough base that a foundation that I can generate those leaders as leaders and have them move forward. And so I think that's always been my goal. I look at my first year as a sales director was $350,000, then we did $500,000, then we did $600,000, and I don't think my goal has ever been to do $500,000, but there was a season where I was in abusive marriage for 13 years, and so to be able to even hit those numbers so consistently for so long was pretty crazy. And to know that you can do that, and thank God for Mary Kay. But last year, so the Argentina trip, we finished at 637,000 retail, I believe. And I was like, oh, and so I did things here locally to ramp up. Like I have 60 facial boxes out, and I think one of your sales directors, Margie, I had helped her with some ideas on how to get them out, and she had shared with you guys how that. I think I've always been willing to do whatever it takes and to grow, because I didn't know anyone here. And so I thought, well, let's do facial boxes. I had never done them before until I moved here, and now I've got them down to a mad science. But I'm a master at generating leads, but I knew that I had to duplicate the building side of this business to grow and become a national. And so, because you can only do so much and yourself, and then at some point you have to start duplicating yourself, otherwise you're going to top out.
Right. So I think the confidence there is knowing that the leaders are always there as long as you have the numbers of new consultants coming in, versus stepping back and say, I need to find leaders, so to speak, even though that, finding leaders is a great thing. You went after knowing that as your numbers increased and the number of people that you were in front of, leaders always show themselves because they have that seed of ambition that causes them to, step into something and figure out what they can do to move on and move forward and to excel. And they're going to latch on to the person that's going to help them excel. So you don't have to find them when you've got enough people, they find you.
Right.
So the other thing you said that I so love, when you talked about alignment. So when you said I shouldn't have to work this hard, if you align with me, there is no hard work. So the difference is that I think people, just in the world in general, not just us and Mary Kay, but we assume that, the hard work is when you're trying to convince people of something that they don't want to do, or feel that there's a magic way that you need to say it or do it to cause them to want to, when actually, if they're aligned with us, they want to. We just need to be in front of them to share the information and help lead them to. So give them what they don't know already.
Right.
They'll assume what they're going to assume until we give them what they don't know, until we provide the information.
Right. Yeah, and
that was found.
The first person I can think of right now is a consultant in my unit, Felicia. She's a red jacket now, but in January, I did a live video share with her while I was at leadership, and she was in another direct sell company of nutrition, and because my background in college was in nutrition, we connected a lot with that, and so then she finished, and she was a C, but I really enjoyed talking with her, and so we really connected, and I said, and this is how I ended the call, and this is when I fully get proven that alignment is always on, it will happen, is I said, Felicia, I will totally respect your C. I said, but I want you to just think a new thought, potentially think a new thought. And I said, and I'm not trying to talk you into Mary Kay, but I'm going to give you a visual of what I know to be true, is that in this business, there is one thing that I have noticed in being trained by my senior national, Emily McLaughlin, that there's one thing that makes this business easier for some people, and that is that people enjoy talking with you and they enjoy being around you. And I said, I'm sure you get this all the time at work, that people just love to talk with you, that you're just an easy person to be around. And she goes, yeah. And in my discernment and just talking with her, I said, so if you were to think a new thought, there's a consumable product side of Mary Kay that is considered a need in Mary Kay, or a need in the market, is the products. They said, and now nutrition is one of the hardest things to sell because people want instant gratification. I said, you want the best product and not have a business that works because people won't stick with it long enough. And I said, so potentially they're not competing, and I just kind of broke it down that you could do both if you wanted. And within an hour, I got a message from her consultant that she was signing up, and she's one of our finished one of my consultants' cruise. And so she's like killing it now, Mary Kay. She came to seminar and everything, and she's no longer doing the other nutrition company, but it's because I trusted alignment, and I just wanted her to think a new thought, that she had that skill, that just that inner person that people like to talk to. And I said, I see why Marnie had you talk with me, and that me talk with you is because I could see why she enjoys you, why she thinks you'd be good at Mary Kay, because of that one trait. And I guess that's all it took for her just to kind of click in, and then she was off to the races. And because she joined that way, she had 10 live video shares with me in the first week, and it's very common now because they understand, especially if they have done it with me and that's how they signed up, then to do their live Pearl shares, it's not even a hard thing for them to get those on the books because they did it, and that's how they joined. And so, but yeah, that's alignment to me is something that when there's enough people out there to build your unit and my unit and your customer base, is that you don't have to make anyone or talk anyone into it. That sometimes it's a year that I've worked on somebody, that getting them to something or seeing another picture, and then finally they decide, gosh, I wish I would have done this sooner. I'm like, I know. I feel the same way. So, but yes, I do trust a lot in alignment.
Yeah. Well, it gives you permission to be able to, I think, be more frank with them, or it's the trust that you have built because of the alignment is the internal connection, and so you can have different conversations because of that.
Yeah.
But I love what you said though about the nutrition business, because I don't think everybody thinks that thought, that is one of the most challenging things to sell because people don't stick with it, versus with our business being the beauty business, women put something on their face and their skin looks better.
Right.
That's instant gratification. Yeah. That was okay. I know people are chomping at the bit to ask you questions, but so how long is it though, your video call? You probably said and I missed it.
It's anywhere. It depends on definitely depends on their questions, but anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes. I've had one go for an hour and 15 because she was just drilling me, and I'm like, I don't know why you're asking me so many questions. This is how I eventually ended it, because I had to postpone another appointment because we were going so long and connecting that much. I said, I don't know why you're postponing the inevitable, because you're going to be on Michelle's team in my unit. And she goes, you're right. Let's just get signed up. I'm like, okay, you can keep asking me questions if you know you're going to do this with us, because she just connected with me like crazy. And so some people, when they get on, they have no intention to be interested in Mary Kay, and I'm okay with that. But if they're supposed to be, it will flip in the call or in the video chat. And if not, they're going to help them do a facial party, and maybe that's the way that they're going to connect to this business and being a customer, and maybe then they're going to decide that they're going to do Mary Kay. I have no idea, but I just trust in the numbers.
Yeah. Wow. And they've seen your little 4-minute one prior to coming on that with you, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Oh, this is so good, and you're so wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to open it up because I know that there's some questions out there that I'm not thinking of, and or if anybody wants to say something to Amber or affirm her, I would love that. So you need to do *6 to come in. So.
Hi, Stacy. It's Amanda. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Amanda. Go ahead.
Of course, you knew I was going to chime in because when Lisa talked about Amber, I was like the first one talking at the bit to jump in. So Amber, Lisa sharing about you literally changed my everything. Like you, I transitioned from San Diego to New York in August, and I know no one in New York. And I didn't really work in August, but in September I got mad. Actually, end of August I got mad, and I literally was like, this is not going to work. So when we heard Lisa's call at the beginning of September, I was like, that's it. I need all the information. And I jumped right on. I apologize if there's wind noise. I'm out walking. I jumped right on to your plan. And that's what I've been doing. This month I've recruited 3, which is great, considering we recruited no one in July and August.
Right.
But I am having one struggle, and it's really so silly that I'm even asking, but I use iPhones, and I have my iCalendar. Is there any way to link iCalendar to Calendly? Or Google?
I could probably teach a whole technology class on phones too, but we're not going to do that right now. But
yeah, no.
I am an Android user, and there's many reasons why. Because my phone, I'll be honest with you, I probably have 250 to 300 scheduled text messages that are in my phone right now that will go out, and so I don't know on that side, and if it doesn't, I would say switch to Google Calendar, because Calendly literally eliminates the potential of like your consultant saying, well, hold on, let me see when my director's ready. And now she can't get a hold of that person again. And so I have it, like even my new consultant, when somebody gets a new team member, they have my link for my live, for the Zoom orientation. And so I have like in their recruiter's responsibilities, the very first thing is, I train them that if you sign somebody up, the moment you sign up, you should be hopping onto my calendar and getting her in my calendar in the next 24 to 48 hours. And I really put that as their responsibility, not the new consultant. But I know you can still do Google Calendar with an iPhone, but I don't know if they link, but I would definitely say it's worth going to Google Calendar.
Okay. And then I just wanted to affirm you again. I think that God has been speaking to me in so many ways, and just you being hitting me over the head with you and your story twice this month was absolutely what I needed to hear. But because I am very much, a lot of my strengths are the same as yours. The minute you spoke, Amber, you just you need to be in front of so many people. Your voice has a calming sense to it for those of us who are results oriented, who are results focused. And I believe it's because you are a national's daughter. But it's the belief, the core belief that it works and that it's worth it. As soon as you say it, I know that you can say those words. Anybody can say those words. But you saying it, there's more belief behind it because you've lived it. And so I just want to thank you for sharing that with us. But please share it with everyone all over, because I think the big thing behind Mary Kay is belief. And it's not even the words, it's just the breath that comes out. It's like, it's going to happen. And so thank you for that, for breathing that belief into my ears this morning. Once again, thank you.
Thank you.
That was perfect. You were the perfect person. Okay, is there anybody else? We'll just grab one other person if there's somebody right there. Okay. I think I'm sure that there's going to be, we're probably going to go on Voxer. There's going to be lots of conversation back and forth out of all the bits and pieces of information that everybody brings down. Amber, oh my goodness, truly, not only a huge thank you, but I also thank you the same from the standpoint of your spirit and your calmness. But in addition to calmness, there's a wonderful confidence that is a very stable authority, but it's a beautiful spirit that kind of saturates it. So as you speak and your words come across, it's understood immediately that you know what you're talking about and you know what you're saying, but it's like an invitation versus someone just trying to blatantly hit someone over the head with it. You just draw people to you with it. So that was perfect that you were on for us, because hearing what you did is one thing. Hearing it from you, how you did it, is completely a different level of appreciation. So thank you, Amber.
Thank you. Yeah, I do believe, like, I had three of my consultants finish the cruise, and 4 of my sales directors, and I 100% attribute it to how we shifted how we work. And so it really makes a big difference.
Yay. Okay, so, if anybody else has questions that they want to ask on the Boxer, just go ahead and ask in the Boxer group. But Amber, I'm just going to allow you to go out into the last day of the month, knowing that ballistic things are happening in your unit. But one more big, huge thank you of appreciation. And then I'm just going to close it up with other kind of things. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Amber.
Thank you.
Thank you.